I'm going to share with you about what it really means to become, fully abundant and in prosperity. And what does it really take for you to become a person who is, you know, on that realm of everything's always working out for me. I'm attracting all the wealth in the world, really, really increasing and evolving up into that next level of you. It requires you to eliminate and get rid of almost every scarcity part of that exists within inside of yourself. Wait, Shamina, what are you talking about? That's a lot. And here's the thing, a lot of people don't even realize that they're in scarcity. They don't realize that they have the lack. They don't realize that the victim is present inside of them. And I will tell you that this is the core and bulk of the work that I do because I help you expand into more money, into more wealth, into more opportunity, into more abundance. And it was something that I personally had to overcome is to get out of that victim mindset and out of the scarcity into the more. So I teach from a lived experience, and I teach from after mentoring so many women and seeing the patternings. And what it really comes down to is if that victim mindset exists, there's always going to be so much resistance to somebody wanting to go into more wealth. Women will join my world and they'll be like, I'm so ready to do the work. Because I'll say, are you ready to do the work? Yes, I'm ready to do the work. And sometimes they'll get great results in the beginning and then they'll drop off because they're not willing to go all the way in onto the deeper layers of what really exists behind, the being, stuck or not sure what's next or having big wins and then huge windfalls after that, like making money and then having bankruptcy or making money and then money going out and not understanding that it all comes back to breaking a pattern. And breaking that pattern is imperative to having sustainable wealth grow and compound over time. And anytime I see a woman, having judgment around somebody, I already know that they're in scarcity. They're not in abundance because they are looking at other people and having an opinion that's quite frankly not one of a woman who's unbothered, right? And I see I see people using, well, you don't know what they did to me. But you don't know what happened. And this happened. And there's always an explanation or overtelling of a story. I already know victim mindset, scarcity. And I know they have money leaks. This is so paramount to creating crazy wealth. And it is a hard job for me, because I'm working with people's victims. And let me tell you, there's nothing stronger than a woman who is a victim. And when I say that, it's like she wants to blame somebody else. There's no self accountability. And there'll be powerful women that come to me that will still have that because they compare themselves. They're jealous. They have envy. They let what other people say affect them. This is not an easy road. Okay. So I'm not making it sound, and I don't want to be poo pooing anybody who still goes through this, because that's why you're listening to this and that's why you're coming in my world. And some people are like, I have no problems with money, but I still can't make it, or I still can't keep it. Well, we have to go deeper. You might have healed the relationship with money, but you haven't actually worked on the other parts of it, right? And because at the end of the day, it's not always just about money. It's about the culmination of so many things that create an abundance thinking mindset. I remember when I was going in the beginning and I was going through what my belief systems were, and I was just trying to move myself over the scale more from being in a lack mindset, scarcity negative, over into an abundance prosperity thinking way. I would write these mantras down. I would continuously find where I wouldn't believe there was more. I was looking for where I I didn't see, the more. I could only see what was wrong. And this is when people are looking for, that's not going to work. I'm being realistic. That mindset also is in the, I'm protecting myself from being hurt. It's not all in. It's not being like, of course it's going to work. That's where abundance mindset comes from. Of course, everything's going to be okay. Of course, it's going to work out. Of course, this is going to be fine, because you have a pre-existing experience, a pre-existing pattern that's telling you don't do that because you can get hurt. So there's a protection mode that goes in. So at the end of the day, I know when someone is extremely successful, high performer, she's got a lot to unpack. And that's not a bad thing. It's just there's a different way of doing success now. It doesn't have to be at the cost of your health, your sleep, being in toxic relationships, doing everything yourself, not being vulnerable, not opening your heart, not having deeper connections. It doesn't have to come at that cost. It could come for you living in a different way. So that's where I don't tell people, like, I'm going to go find your victim and your scarcity mindset. But really, they bring it to me. And I know the pattern. I know that people pleasing is scarcity mindset. I know perfectionism is scarcity mindset. I know resentful scarcity mindset. All these things are not allowing you to be self accountable in your power, And if you're not in your power, then you can't change anything. You're just reacting instead of responding, right, to what life is giving you. You're just like, well, I'm just going to be over here angry and bitter at the situation instead of doing something about it. And again, this is not if you've been victimized, okay? Being victimized is a completely different situation. In that time and place, you are victimized. But after that happens, you have a choice of what you want to do with that situation and how you want to see the world through the lens of the victimization or through someone who is, further seeing that, this situation happened and how do I can heal from it, move from it. There's another woman that teaches about money, and I got her book and I couldn't even listen to it anymore. And she's got thousands of reviews and she's got a huge following. Everything in there was about the victim and about the poor woman and the white man and how we're so oppressed, and it was just victim, 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 victim after another, one after another. It was not empowering for me. And she just doesn't get it. She's talking about making millionaires, but she's actually not teaching people how to become empowered so that their old stories aren't affecting them. That's what I do. I can sit there all day and teach you how to create your reality and manifest. But if you are manifesting with a victim mindset, it doesn't matter. You're going to have a hit or miss. One day it might be good, next day it won't. I want you to be able to be the creator of your life over and over again. Create as much wealth as you want. Be so neutral about money that you have power over it. But if you have these stories and you have this preconceived, experience, that's how you're going to see the world. That's how your business is going to be run. That's how your relationships are going to be. And let me tell you, people jump ship when they come work with me because they just can't go all the way. They want to stay in a comfortable place, which is to blame. And unfortunately, that is a sad place to be because it does not get you to that next level. Because in order to break a pattern, you got to do something different. There's got to be a different pattern. In order to have a different pattern, you got to think a different way. You have to neurologically change the way that your neurons are firing and wiring in your brain. And so you can have a different way of thinking. And then on top of that, your nervous system has to be rewired in a different way so that it can feel into what feels safe now. Because when someone's in their scarcity victim mindset, they're in lack, right? But they're always fearing something. This is where you see the people driving around with their masks on by themselves. That is someone who is in a high state of victim scarcity mindset, like big time, and it's like they don't feel like they have the control over their lives. And I know this might rub some people the wrong way, but I know what I know. And I know it to be fact and law. And I know that if I can go look in your life and your business right now, I will find the things. If you still have this existing, I will find the lack of support with your team. I'll find the lack of support in your life. I find the lack of sleep. I'll look at your kids. I'll see what's going on with them. What type of mother are you? Where are the things happening? Are you able to be all things to all people? And I say this because it's like you can't ignore when there's an issue, because the issue is telling you, hey, there's something wrong. And it's not so fixable as, women think. I got to go figure out why the issue came. This is what happened with me. I'm like, when my marriage was breaking down, it's like, why was I still in a toxic relationship for so long? That's the thing I had to figure out. Like, why did I put up with it for so long? That's the problem. I'm the problem. I have to figure out what I allowed. Why do my standards stay so low that I didn't raise them to be like, I should deserve more? Because I got to work on me, right? It's a me thing. And being self-accountable is such an empowering thing. I have met women that make $100 million and they still suffer from emotional crap. Like they have not done their work at a deeper level because it's scary. And they think because they do these little tests here and there, they find out what their, blah, blah, blah test is. They know what their human design is. They think that they're getting to the core of it. These are great little tools, but they're not getting to the core of why are you behaving this way? Why are you feeling and thinking this way, right? So money does not make people successful, in my opinion. Yes, it's there, but success to me is full on peace inside of self. Being able to be so abundant that I can cheer someone on. I can celebrate another woman. I can share where I got my boots from. I can live in a place that I know that there's more than enough for everybody to go around, that I don't live in the lack. I used to live there. I used to live in that place, and it was a terrible place. And now I know there's another way, but it took a lot of work to get to this place, and it's freeing because nothing is holding me back. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I do the wrong thing? I don't have to worry about those things anymore. I have to worry about self-sabotage. Women who are not in their full abundance state will still feel like imposters. They'll be self-sabotaging themselves on a daily basis. And it's not even true. That stuff doesn't really even exist, but we make it a thing, right? So what I'm really trying to say with this episode is that if you ever use the words "it's unfair," watch your language. Watch what you're saying. Watch what you're doing. How are you operating? How are you really looking at the world? Do you say I got ripped off? Do you think when you go invest in a program or a coach, it's like, oh, I just wasted that money, or I just spent that money, and not looking like it's an investment? Those types of things actually are telling about where your mindset is around money, but also your wealth consciousness and where you're at. And this is why a lot of women keep repeating the same thing, and they're not progressing up into that next up level that they know exists for them, that next level of success, that next level of wealth, the next level of relationships, whatever it is. They're still doing the same thing over and over again, right? They're getting the same results, or sometimes they're going backwards. Imagine for a second that you could be so unbothered that whatever's going on in the world, whatever's really happening, you can still decide what you want to do. You still make decisions. Whatever your, toxic parents said to you, it's just going to be like, all right. Whatever history you had, it's just going to be, or an experience before, it's just going to be something that was in the past, and it's not eating up your today and tomorrow. Imagine if you were seeing the world through the clearest lens possible of what your perfect ideal life could look like, where wealth is coming to you, opportunities are coming to you, and you're not sitting there trying to fight this resistance on a daily basis. You're not even sure what you're fighting. You're not even sure why there's this resistance. You're not even sure why you're not there yet, but you see the world through these clear lens. That to me is power. That to me is freedom. That's financial freedom to me, where I can live how I want to live. I can feel what I want to feel. And I'm not in this emotional jail that many women are when they come to me, because they have not done the deeper work. And some of them they're not willing. Some of them are still stuck. Sometimes religion's still playing a part, which I'm not knocking religion, but they're still stuck in that mindset, and they don't know how to go beyond where they are. They think that if they hustle more, they do more, they're going to get a different result. And they still just end up basically banging their heads against the wall. Maybe with some income increases, but that's how they're measuring themselves, is how much money they make. And that's all they do. That's it. And let me tell you, one day that's never going to be enough. And that day is today. It doesn't matter how much success you have. A woman will be like, it's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. You're trying to fill a black hole. The only way you're going to fill that hole is to do this work. And so this is the abundance building. This is it. I could go on and on about this, but if you have not read my book, Unlocking the Quantum Woman, you should go read it. Also, come join us in Chicago, October 25th and 26th. We are going to unlock that next level of yourself 5 years into the future. This in-person event is like nothing I've ever done before. The clarity I have around exactly the pattern breakings that I have to do with women, the rewiring of their mindset. The workshop is a 2-day workshop, and it's so nominal right now for what the amount of work, being in an in-person experience that you're going to get. The price is going up. I think we only have 5 VIP left tickets. Get them. Be in the room. You are going to change your life in ways that you haven't even thought of, because you don't even know some of the things that are in your subconscious right now that are just lurking there, that are like, what is that? How come this is happening? And I'm going to show you some tools, more than the book, more than the podcast, that are really going to take you to that future version of yourself. This is where the quantum leaps happen. And it downloaded to me, like, I want to say like last weekend, I was sitting there in my kitchen and I was like, I am so grateful for my life. I'm so grateful. 11 years ago, the world had come crumbling down for me. And I mean, if this is where people probably like, take their lives, I think, it's just like that feeling of helplessness that you cannot do anything anymore. That feeling of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I only had one option, was just to keep going and listen to this calling, listen to something that's speaking to me. Like, even though my entire world was collapsed and it was in the biggest shambles of my life, I still was trying to find the meaning to all of it. And thank goodness that I did, because I sat in my kitchen with tears in my eyes, crying, thinking back 11 years ago, 2013, I was sitting there and lost. And now here I am, 2024. I did everything I said I was going to do. I wrote the book. I have a podcast that is like ranking in the top 100. I'm mentoring women. I have swag line. I used to write down 7 streams of income. My YouTube is blowing up. Aside from all those things, my children are so, so, so amazing. They have so much emotional mastery. Their emotional intelligence is beyond anything I could have ever even imagined at their age. They know who they are. They love who they are. I broke the generational trauma. No amount of money could ever replace that. My kids have had their own lives to go through with, their father and the divorce, and that's something they still have to work on, probably some areas. But aside from that, my kids are very well developed because I did the work, because I broke the toxic patterns, because I healed myself, and I decided to do that for my children. And they have this life now. I bought my dream car. I bought my Rollie. I bought my Cartier. Whatever it is I wanted, I could have. Took my kids to Europe, 5-star, full first class there and back. We went to all the only 5-star hotels and 5-star restaurants, most of them. Sometimes we did the local restaurants just because Sierra wanted to eat as much pasta as possible. But we did it all. Had drivers. We bought whatever we wanted. Dream vacation, which we're going to repeat again next summer. What I want to tell you is this. You remove all of that mental garbage, that emotional stuff, you will be able to go and see the world through the clearest lens possible of what is available for you. Because right now, some people's vision is only at 30% of what they think they can have, what they can do, and who they can be in this lifetime. But I want to show you that you can clear away and get a little more crystal clear on that vision. So come join us in Chicago. And if you haven't got my book yet, go get it. Hello, you should go get that book. And come join us at the Quantum Woman group on Facebook. And would love a review from you. It makes my heart burst. All right, stay tuned for the next episode, and bye for now.